There you go.
There we go. What a beautiful screen of Discord. There's our faces.
Hey, we got Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Let's see. I don't know how to see the chat. Open chat. There we go. Yeah, there he is. All right. We're live, and we're looking at Grant's Discord.
Yeah. Captivating. Captivating footage.
Well, on the Discord, I think you can see everything. Matt, can you see us? Okay. Looks good to me. Matt. Okay. So we're going to kick things off. This is the first official Studio Primitive. I'm calling it Devcast. So this is really just a way for us to talk about things that are going on in Studio Primitive, some new projects, stuff like that, news, events, kind of like a mini direct, I guess. And as we get more and more developed and released, we'll have a lot more to talk about. But thanks everybody for showing up, for watching us stream. Thank you for your interest in our games and what we're doing. It means a ton. Yeah, the big news, Attack of the Karens released this week on Monday. It's been a big week, and yeah, the response has been pretty good. So a lot of people have been very excited. A lot of people like the soundtrack, which is awesome. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things with Attack of the Karens that are going to be coming. So there's been some bug reports of some things, like some of the curses and some of the cushions. Those are the modifiers in the game are not working. There's a couple of them that are kind of bugged. So I just pushed out a playtest build to the playtesters to look at that. And once that is good, I'm going to push that out to the retail build. So bug fixes for those are going to be coming, as well as a bug fix for some controller issues. There was some issues where some things weren't controlling quite right, and so I've got that figured out, and that'll be pushed out to the retail version as well once the bug testing is vetted by the playtesters. So probably a couple more days on that, and then it'll be out. Next thing is Attack of the Karens is going to get a limited soundtrack release. So I'm going to be putting just a few tracks, so kind of like an EP version of the Attack of the Karens soundtrack on streaming services throughout. So like Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, those kinds of things is going to be where you can go to listen to that if you haven't purchased it already. So, and of course, the soundtrack is available for just $2.99. It's on discount right now for 15% off on the Steam page. So definitely pick that up if you haven't already. And then Attack of the Karens, we're going to do some cool things. So I chatted on the Discord a little bit about doing some events. So I think we're going to start, I'm still kind of just playing with this a little bit and figuring out exactly what I want to do. But we're probably going to have some events based around some speed run type things, some time attack type things, and some curses. So maybe given a random curse, and for a week you get to run the game with that curse, and whoever gets the shortest time, we're going to think of some kind of cool thing to do for that person. So I was thinking, they could have their name at the front of the game or something for a week, or something like that. So, or maybe we could host a giveaway or something along those lines. So some events are going to be coming for Attack of the Karens in the Discord and on Steam. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching this video after we finish our stream, make sure you join on the Discord so you can be involved in those events and everything else that's happening. So I think that's it for the announcement stuff. Really, the meat of this thing today is for me to introduce Grant. So Grant is my brother. For a while now. He's been my brother for a while.
Yeah,
And
36 years.
36 years. Yeah, going on 37, man. It's like it's been my whole life or something. But anyway, so we're just kind of shooting from the hip. This is eventually gonna, it's gonna go to YouTube. We might put it out as a podcast somewhere, I don't know, but really want to introduce Grant and announce that he's joining Studio Primitive as another developer. So it's going to be me and him. We're going to be making games together, and I am very excited about this. Grant and I have been talking about this for a while, and probably about a year or so, I would say, maybe longer than that. We've been chatting about making games together, and he's had a couple of projects in the background that I've kind of helped out a little bit with, but nothing's really quite stuck. And now that I've finished Attack of the Karens and have launched that, my schedule's kind of opened up, and Grant was like, "Hey, let's make some games together." I'm like, "Yeah, that would be really cool." So, I think I'll just take a minute and let you introduce yourself, Grant, and then maybe we'll just start talking about where you started in gaming and what inspires you, and then maybe talk about some of the cool things you've done because you've got some pretty good game dev chops. You've done some pretty cool projects. I'll let you talk about those and show those. But yeah, just take it away.
All right. Yeah, I'm Grant, Joel's brother, and you're right. We've been talking about doing stuff together for a long time, decades. I don't know. It's creating games has always been something that I dreamt about as a kid and everything, and I got into computer science and development as I got older and actually went to college for that and everything. But I didn't go to college for games. I went just general computer science kind of stuff. And so I do have a full time gig like you do as well. So the game development stuff is just kind of something I've always been doing on the side and everything. Um, but yeah, I have worked on a few different projects, and they have all suffered that same fate of going way outside the scope. And then if you're the solo dev, you kind of lose the momentum and everything, and you think about, oh, there's this other cool idea I want to try. Let's go jump to that for a little bit. And then I never actually finish anything, right? So I've only just made some demos. But yeah, I've always loved games ever since I was a little kid. We used to cut out cardboard and make our own little consoles and everything like that when we were kids, and pretend that we were making our own games. And I don't know. It's always been something that I've been fascinated with and just loved. And just a variety of games, all sorts of genres and everything like that, except for some, which maybe we'll talk about. We can talk about our likes and dislikes. I don't know. But yeah, I'm super excited to work with Joel, and now that his time is freeing up and he has the desire to work with me, I think we're gonna go into some smaller projects here, and then we might pick up one of my bigger projects that I had been working on and just kind of revamp that, flesh it out, and then release that. Or maybe we'll just jump into something else that we think of together, or something Joel's been wanting to do. But I'm hoping that throughout our careers here, if you will, with Studio Primitive or whatever it ends up being, that we can tackle all those kind of games that we've always been wanting to make, that have just kind of been in our heads and everything but never been fully realized, and hopefully some fun stupid stuff along the way. So I do have a couple of demos. They're old demos that I can show you of two games that I worked on, one being a game called Captain Quack, where you play as a duck, and it's kind of like a boss rush kind of game, like Punch Out. And then another one that I was working on called Project Orb, or later called it Deep Dark Place, which is more of a Metroidvania kind of game. But they're older demos, like, maybe like close to 10 years now. I'm not sure. It's been a while. But we can check them out and kind of show you what I was working on there. But I don't know, did you want to hop over to that now, Joel? Or what did you want to do?
Yeah, let's show it. I mean, let's show your stuff, and then we can go back and talk about kind of, after you show your things, let's talk about things that inspire us and kind of some projects we'd like to eventually get to. But then, yeah, let's just freeform it, whatever you want to do.
All right. Oh, give me 1 second here.
So Matt's asking, do you have demos on itch or somewhere he'd like to play them?
I do have them on Game Jolt, and that's where I'll be showing you them here. Really quick. And swap over. Kind of got to balance the sound here. So yeah, this demo, if you can still hear me, I need to turn it down a little bit. This demo was from 2018, looks like. We'll just start it up. And Joel, maybe you want to talk about it while I'm playing here.
Sure. Yeah. So this project's been in for a while. So this has been kind of one of Grant's passions that he's always been talking about and working on in the background. But Project Orb started from. Was it originally a Metroidvania? Has it always been like that?
It's always been like that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's about. You're gonna have to correct me if I get anything wrong, but it's about a guy that falls down in a deep cave, and then he finds an orb, and when he picks up this orb, it activates this cave and kind of reactivates this ancient like civilization type thing, and then you have to find your way out. And the orb gives you like special abilities, and you can use it. There's certain mechanics you can use with the orb, and you're gonna have to explain a lot better than I am, but that's kind of the gist of it.
yeah, I think you got the gist of it, and it's kind of changed shape over the years and everything to what my more recent demo that was never actually came out was. But yeah, it started just as a Metroidvania kind of project. I've always loved the game Out of This World, or you might know it by Another World, which is kind of obvious in the character design here. But I always thought that game was really cool, and that whole setting was really cool. But I've also really loved, Metroid games my entire life. Super Metroid is probably one of, if not my favorite game of all time. So I've always loved that genre. And so I was like, hey, let's just kind of throw those things together. So Another World was a cinematic platformer. Kind of like Flashback, that same vein. And
Yeah.
very punishing kind of game. Like you just kind of go screen by screen, and there's all sorts of environmental hazards and one-shot kills and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of maintain that kind of brutality in this one, but not make it tedious as far as like having to restart and things like that. But you're right. You start the game by waking up down in this cave. You don't know how you got there. You kind of forgot everything you've been doing. You don't know who you are. And then you stumble upon this corpse here that has this glove, this power glove here, and this like floating alien orb thing. Not sure what it is or why it's there, but you decide to put on the glove for some reason without asking any questions, and then the orb comes to life.
Yeah, the thing that's cool about the glove is you designed it kind of after the Power Glove, right? Like the Nintendo Power Glove. At least I
the
remember us talking
Advantage.
about that.
Yeah. So
definitely retro inspired. It's awesome.
Yeah, so in this demo, you just go to this little power kiosk and you interact with it and turn on the power and everything. But your orb's kind of like your little companion, your buddy, throughout the game. Mm-hmm. And it's also how you attack. So you send it and you retrieve it. And then there are other abilities that you get that aren't actually in this demo. But you can do things like create a tether from your orb that creates this beam between the orb's destination and where you're standing, and you can interact with things in between that way or do damage. And then you can use it to like warp to it and create teleport yourself to it. There's like a black hole ability, and all sorts of.
This demo was pretty fleshed out. Like watching you play through it, you got pretty far in making this thing.
Yeah, I did, and I'm kind of sad that I actually lost the files for it, the source files. So I had to start from scratch.
No.
Otherwise I would have continued on with just this one, but yeah, I lost the source file. But this, just one hit kills like that,
That's
getting slapped in the face.
That's one of my biggest fears is losing all my data and all my builds. So I backed it up on like 3 different places just for that reason, just because I
Yeah.
don't want something to get corrupted.
Yeah, after mine got corrupted, I learned that hard lesson, and I have done so many precautions now with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I never want to have that happen again.
Oh,
Yeah, and this is still pretty buggy too, so we might, interact with some bugs and stuff. I was playing it the other day, and I got to the boss. I killed the boss, but I died at the same time. So the boss died. He went away, but then I couldn't progress because it restarted the screen, but he was gone. So hopefully that doesn't happen here. But the whole concept of the game was just having this orb that you interact with to do all sorts of different abilities and progress through the game in different ways. And I was toying with the idea, and it's something that I maybe will flesh out if we do work on it together. Is like the orb's kind of like your therapist almost. Like think of like the relationship between Tom Hanks and Wilson in Castaway. Like you'll be talking to it, and when you get to like a save station or something like that, I was thinking you could sit down with it and just kind of reflect on your journey so far. And
even though it's kind of like a inanimate object. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like you're depending on how you play through the game and how you how you talk to this thing, it kind of records like your psychology, kind of like, and then reports that at the end of the game. Kind of gives you your own psychology review or something like that, amongst other things. But
that's a cool mechanic.
And here we have the first boss.
I mean, this is a good 10 minutes of gameplay right here. This is solid.
Yeah, it was fun.
I remember this guy. I remember that.
Yeah, and then he transitions to his phases, and the water level or the acid level rises and everything.
Yeah. And this, so what engine was this all made in?
This is made in Construct.
Okay.
And so is Captain
Construct
Quack.
It's a web-based.
Yeah, it's JavaScript. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you ever end up adding any sound to this demo, or can we just not hear it?
Can you not hear the sound?
Nope.
Well, that's too
it
bad.
looks great. It looks awesome.
Yeah, the sound is a huge part.
Yeah, those are the Metroid style orb upgrades. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That
now
is
you
so
get
Metroid.
so now you get a shield that's just on use that fades away with a cooldown.
That boss with the lava coming up and down.
Yeah.
That kind of sounded like, that kind of reminded me of that one boss in Super Metroid that you have to shock it with a gravity beam, and then you have to connect to the side of the room that's where you blast the covers off of those like electrode type things.
Yeah.
And then you fry it basically from the inside.
Yeah. I forgot what the name is.
Did that have a part where the level of the lava rose up and down? I seem to think that it did. It seemed that mechanic was similar in something in the Metroid game.
I don't think it was on that boss in particular.
Yeah.
That one had all the little
It just reminded me of that.
little ads that would come out, and like she would grab you, and you could use your grappling beam to lock onto one of those electric nodes and fry her for like a shortcut to kill her.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm sure I'm not the first one to think of that mechanic.
No, but it's just reminded me. It's very Metroid-esque. I love it.
There we hit the end of the demo. It just puts me back at a different screen. But that's as far as I got with this one.
That's awesome, man. Well done. That's a cool demo. So that's available on Game Jolt. Can you drop a link for that in the YouTube channel so people can go check it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a fun demo. So we've got ladder escape in the audience on the Discord. I'm thinking the next time we do this, stages is probably not the best way.
Yeah.
I think we probably should do a call and just have everybody go to YouTube because if you're on the stage, you can't see what we're showing on the screen for gameplay and stuff.
Yeah.
So
On
if
my
you want
stream
to see
you
what we're
can,
talking
yeah.
about, if you want to see what we're talking about, hop over to the YouTube stream. I'll drop a link to the YouTube stream right here in the Devcast. Just so Ladder Escape, you can just jump over there. And Ladder Escape's name is also Matt, but there's two Matts now, so let's see Ladder Escape.
Got some double mat going on.
So yeah, if you're in the audience on the stage, just jump over to the YouTube cast. That's gonna be better. So
Yeah, and you can actually hear the sound and see the gameplay over there. And then I have two Quack demos. One was the early one because I actually did a Kickstarter for this one. I was naive at the time and it just bombed. But
that was still cool though. Like
yeah,
you did a Kickstarter, right? Like you got everything together, and you put together the web page and all of that, and I think the Kickstarter page is still even up, right? Can you go still look at it,
I imagine you probably can.
or is it down now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they. I imagine they keep them forever, but.
Because getting a Kickstarter together is not easy. Like that's a big job, and so a lot of prep, a lot of time goes into putting together the Kickstarter. And even if it doesn't go through, it's still an accomplishment to get a demo out there and to get a Kickstarter and to get some people looking at it and stuff. So I mean,
Yeah.
still that's hard.
This was 2016. Yeah. So.
I pity the stool.
Yeah, Captain Quack, I Pity the Stool was the game. This is
New game.
a lot of puns in this one. But we'll just skip this intro for the sake of time. I tried to do it like Super Metroid there, when Samus has her visor and she's telling her story. And then at the end.
The eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but... So this
This game
game...
is weird. Do you want to play this tutorial?
Yeah, and that's true, yeah.
That's
Because
awesome.
the gameplay comes in two parts, which you'll see here.
The Parkland.
This demo had, this is the Kickstarter demo, and it had 5 levels in it. But each level is just a different, boss, different character.
This demo is lots of fun, by the way, everybody. If you wanna,
Yeah,
if you have an evening that you just want to spend doing something really fun, this game is a blast.
alright, one sec. So the
Does anybody
gameplay
get
is
the
2
sound
parts.
for this one, you gotta get the sound on this one. This is a good game.
Sound should be coming through on the YouTube. Are you listening to the YouTube?
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Offgrid said, yeah, I can hear the sound on YouTube. Okay, so we're good. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's-
so-
Go ahead.
So the gameplay is 2 parts. The first part, you're in this cloud. You're supposed to be, kind of stealth from the actual enemies in here. This enemy being this happy, jolly kid holding an ice cream cone. And so this first part of the gameplay is more like a puzzle. There's something you can interact with on the stage here. And so you can pull out your little horn there and tap around. And this was developed originally for the Wii U. I had a dev kit and everything like that. So it was both for PC and for the Wii U. So there was tapping involved, or clicking there. But you can find out what you need to interact with that way.
That's so cool. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say that's so cool that you had a dev kit for the Wii U.
Yeah, it's like...
The Wii U is like one of my favorite systems. It's one of the most underrated systems, I think. I think it didn't get enough love and attention, but just the fact that you were a developer for the Wii U is really cool.
Yeah, it was like $2,500 that I'd never put to use, but I tried. But yeah, it was cool to be technically a Wii U developer, even though I didn't actually make anything to release there. But this was going to be released there. I had everything good to go. I had the licensing, I had the dev kit, but just never finished the game. Anyway, so you can interact with things, and it's kind of like a point-and-click adventure puzzle-esque kind of thing. So for Ice Cream Kid, you gotta tap his hat so hard that it falls off. So he's bald. He's a kid who's bald, sadly. And then the second part of the gameplay comes into effect, and that is, of course, you're pooping on stuff. And so you could teleport and everything just by default. That's like your basic ability. But the idea was that you could unlock other abilities throughout the game as you progress and everything like that. But that guy was just kind of like a tutorial to how everything works. The other ones actually fight back. But then I always thought that the scoring system in like Smash Bros was really cool. How there was all sorts of scores every time you finished the level. So I took that kind of inspiration for this kind of stuff, and I wanted to track all sorts of different things and just give you a score and kind of influence some replayability that way. I was going to do leaderboards and everything like that. But
that's way cool, and I love how all the titles are like bird poop.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
It's slightly juvenile now in retrospect, but it's still fun, I think.
That's okay. Juvenile's awesome.
So this was Phone Talkin' Patty. This was inspired by my actual sister-in-law. And of course,
Does she talk on the phone a lot?
Yeah. Just lots of blah blah. And the way you have to interact with, of course, or what you have to interact with, of course, is the phone. And this one, the other things were the tree branches, right? But if you knocked down a tree branch, she would dodge it. So you had to first stun her phone and then hit it. The idea with this one is that you do it enough times that you knock the phone out of her hand and then initiate the second phase of the encounter. But you got to be quicker each time.
This game is really unique. Like, it's like part, I don't know, like part escape room type game where you're clicking stuff and trying to figure out what's going on and figure out a solution, and there's not really a lot of, tension or action happening. And then all of a sudden, like, once you activate the boss, it like jumps into this almost like a shoot 'em up type game.
Yeah, that was the intent. Yeah,
you're shooting bullets and stuff, and I've never seen anything quite like this mashup before, so it's pretty unique.
Yeah, sadly people didn't give it much of a chance because of the visuals. They said it looked like a cheap mobile game, which, looking back now, it does kind of look like that. I'm not going to say it's an unfair assessment.
I always thought it looked fine.
Well, I think
I read those comments on the green light, and I was like, "Come on, guys, it's good."
But like I don't disagree that it could have used plenty of more polish and everything like that. So I don't dislike I've always liked the Flash style, like kind of like the Ed McMillan games, like Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac, those kind of games. Like he's always advocated for Flash, which is now like Adobe Animate, I think they call it now. But but I've always liked that look, like the cartoony, thick line, lots of solid colors and like the limited shading, vector art kind of stuff. Yeah.
Which is funny because there's a lot of art styles out there now that are doing well, and this is one of them. There's a lot of games that use this type of art that are doing great, and maybe it was just the time wasn't right, for something like this.
Oh. Yeah, and you had to Newspaper Ned, yeah.
Blowing bubbles.
You have to get the bubbles out of his pipe and then knock the bird into it.
That's his pipe, yeah, that's right.
But this was, like Joel, this was something that I did all myself too. All the art, all the logic for the gameplay and everything like that, and then the music was all solo dev stuff.
Cool projects, man.
Yeah, it's a fun project. And I would like to revisit it and do it with Studio Primitive one day. We'd probably do it in like pixel art style then, but conceptually probably be pretty similar.
This would be a fun game to make. Doing something like this.
And then it just progressively gets faster.
I don't think. With both of us doing it, I don't think it would take us a heck of a lot of time to make this game.
Yeah, this could probably be like a 1-year project kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we're going to kind of try to figure out here, huh? Is how efficiently and well we can work together with these smaller scale projects.
Yep. That's that's what we're going to talk about here in a minute. Is what we're going to do next. Um, so for anybody watching, if you could like the stream and subscribe if you haven't already, that would really help us out. We're gonna probably do these pretty regularly. I'm hoping to do them, every couple of weeks to give updates and stuff on things we're working on, and just to connect with people. I think I love streamings, and I love just connecting with fans of the studio. So I would really like to do these about every 2 weeks. So make sure you subscribe so that you can get notifications for when we put up new go lives, and of course I'll put it on Twitter and I'll put it on the Discord. So watch those channels. These guys were cool. You can definitely see some punch out inspiration on the guy on the left.
Yeah, he was inspired by Rick and Nick Bruiser, yeah. And the guy on the right is actually inspired by Guile from Street Fighter. But I was in
Rick Bruiser playing frisbee in the park.
Yeah, and I was at college at the time when I was working on this, and I remember people were always slacklining, and so I thought it'd be funny to integrate that into the game.
2 years ago.
But the purpose of this one, you gotta knock the frisbee down and then launch the dude in the background so that he hits the dudes as they're retrieving their frisbee. And
so each of these gets more and more complex. Yeah.
Yeah. And the outcome of this one, you could fight either one of the brothers at the end, depending on which one you defeated.
Oh,
missed
okay.
that one.
So
they do different.
You hit
they do.
blast?
Yeah, they do different abilities.
When I first played this stage, I thought you had to time it just to land the slackliner on the frisbee as it was coming across. So I did it like 20 times trying to time it just right, and I could never get it. I'm like, this is really hard. But then I remembered you gotta knock the frisbee down first.
Alright, we're fighting Rick. I actually named him Rick and Nick. That's right. Alright.
Rick bro.
He has his Cyclops eyes.
I like those glasses that were really trendy a few years ago.
Yeah, that's stupid. I shouldn't say stupid. If you wore them, I apologize. The interesting glasses with the lines, yeah. Oh! That's
Those
what
were
happens
also
when
on,
you
I think
fail.
those appeared on the Scott Pilgrim in that game. Oh! Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Pull out the turbo finger! Oh. I'm rusty at my own game. What a shame.
You haven't played it in a while, I imagine.
Yeah. So now we'll actually see the multi-phased boss of this first area, the Parklands. The groundskeeper, Weed Whackin' Walt.
Triple W.
Triple W.
Weed whacking Walt.
This was a fun fight to do.
So
This-
this one's on Game Jolt too, right? This
Yeah,
demo?
yeah. And this one, the last boss of each one of these areas was intended to just jump into the boss itself, with none of that first part. Since it's like a longer, more intricate fight.
I'm gonna drop this one in the Devcast chat, just so I can link it later. I would drop it on the YouTube channel, but I have to sign it.
And I wanted to do the voices like a Banjo-Kazooie game. Not gonna get there in time. Only one hit left, uh-oh.
Boy, it was great.
Oh!
Time to get wacky.
Yeah, full of dumb dad jokes and puns.
Just doesn't take itself seriously. That's the way to do it.
New record.
Yeah. And that's it for the first demo that I did. I also did a second one that's just like a sandbox kind of demo that I can show really quick. This was the Kickstarter screen. Rest in peace.
I'm gonna look that up and see if you can still with the Kickstarter. But
All right, so this was later. Let me open it up again for just like a sandbox test of a lot of experimentation with RNG and with like the different abilities and everything like that I was intending to use in the game. But it would just spawn these randomly generated enemies, and the way I did it is like every facial feature that they had, like their hair, their eyebrows, their eyes, their nose, mouth, their beard, their head shape, that kind of stuff, was all randomly thrown together as they would spawn. So I just wanted to see if I could do something like that, which ended up in some pretty goofy results. And then each one of these guys would use a different type of attack that I was trying to test, because I wanted to test different types of like bullet types that they could use, different attack patterns, different effects on their attacks that they could do as well. And so the sandbox was doing that. And then you can also access the
environment.
Yeah, you can access the abilities and stuff in here too. Just some different things that you could mess around with, like a chili pepper you could eat that would leave a damage over time effect when your poop would hit them, or something that would increase your haste or your attack power. The big one was like I'll show that. Oh, I can show it right now. It's just a big nuke. It splats on the screen and then
Poop nuke?
it wipes it off with a squeegee.
Should have called it the Duke.
The Duke.
D-O-O-K.
But more and more spawn as things go on. You know, one that shoots like a huge beam up at you, one that does like a cloud that shoots lightning between it horizontally. Oh, like that.
The pieces are awesome.
But I won't take up too much more time. We'll just try it another go here to showcase things a little bit more. But you had different attacks, like a charge shot you could do. If you waited and did an attack, it would just passively charge, and then you could do like a bigger shot that way. Or they had like a homing attack. Well, not a homing, just more like a spread, inaccurate kind of shot. Kind of like you did in Karen's with one of the curses there. Or a spread shot.
Oh, yeah.
But then you could throw on like a chili pepper with that if you want. Leave the damage over time sizzling on them.
Match.
Yeah.
I like the secret mana type menu where it just is a circle that comes out.
Yeah. I did that later in the Project Orb as well. With the abilities there. I've always been a fan of that.
Yeah.
The random faces was one of the most fun part of this for me, just to see what would happen.
His nose is fast, his goatee stuff. It kind of reminded me of like River City Ransom a little bit for some reason.
Yeah. But anyway.
So this one's on.
This one's also on
Game
Game
Jolt as
Jolt, yeah.
well.
Yeah, so.
You want to drop the link for it in the YouTube chat?
Mm-hmm.
People can go check it out.
Yeah, so. Both of them are up over there.
Sweet.
But yeah, you can go check them out if you want. They're, again, very early demo kind of things. But both of those are projects that I'd like to revisit together whenever we think is a good time to do so.
Those would be tons of fun.
And I know you just finished doing a shoot 'em up kind of bullet hell-esque thing, and Quack does have some of those elements. So maybe you wouldn't be wanting to jump right back into one of those. So we can give it a break.
Well, either that or, fresh memory. We could reuse the code and everything if we wanted to do it in Unity.
Yeah.
Easy transition.
Or maybe you'll just become the shoot 'em up guy.
Shoot 'em up guy. Yeah, the more you do it, the better you can crank them out. So anyway, so those grants, a couple of grants projects, make sure you guys check those out. They're lots and lots of fun. Grant's got a good knack for game design and just what feels good when you're playing a game. I played a lot of that quite often. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And the Orb demo too.
one thing I always struggled with is art. I think like I do have a art style. I don't think it's terrible art style, but like I don't really have as good of an eye or I guess just talent for creating that art, especially quickly. So art's something that always like dragged me down as far as time consumption um, with game dev and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah, art's a time sink for sure, especially if I mean you do animations and stuff like that. It takes a while, and good art. Like when I was in the middle of making animations, frame by frame by frame, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And then when you play back a good animation, it just feels so good, right? It's worth the time to put into it, and people notice. Like when I spent time on animations for Karens and stuff, it people noticed. And I think it was worth it. And I just got to remind myself that good art does take time. So
it does,
that's
yeah.
just my general rule. So
Yeah, and I know I'm somewhat biased since I'm A, your brother, and now B, your studio partner here. So, um, from my perspective and stuff,
Codev,
I always
Codev, I don't know.
co-dev. I always thought that the work that you did on Karen's was very impressive, especially for it being like your first
Good. Yeah,
real project and stuff. Like jumping into all that, the time you
yeah,
spent and the level of polish that you put onto it definitely did not go unnoticed, at least by me. Um, and hopefully, I wouldn't refrain from telling you that this isn't good if it wasn't good, but it was good. I was
yeah. I
very
hope you
impressed
give
by
me
it.
some critical feedback.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, thanks. Appreciate that. I'd like to keep going with art. I mean, I love making pixel art, and it's so much fun. And I got a long way to go. I mean, having Karen's in a limited palette really helped a lot because it took away all the decisions that I had to make with color. I had eight to work with, and it was either the purples or the greens, and that was it. And I was off and going. So
yeah.
it'll be fun to start a project with a full palette. I think we probably want to do that on our next project, unless we want to do a limited palette. I don't know. So
Yeah.
we're gonna figure that out. But
Yeah.
yeah, so just sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say, then experience-wise, like you've got a more well-rounded experience now, and then you're more well-versed with using Unity, and I'm more well-versed with using Construct. And I think both engines are good engines, and they both have their pros and cons, that kind of thing. And I think in time
Yeah,
we'll probably both cross-train into both of them. But what we start
yeah,
what we
yeah,
start with these things is whoever is going to be the one of us that is actually doing the game design, the coding, the development, that stuff, is going to use their engine of choice, and then the other person would be doing the art or the music, sound design, that kind of stuff. But eventually, the idea would
yeah,
be that we're both fluent in whatever that we're going to be using, so that we could share that responsibility, um, or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and that might be a good transition to talk about, what we want to do with Studio Primitive going forward and kind of like our strategy, right? So like you're right. We just wanna make game. We're gonna divide responsibilities. We're probably gonna cross over quite a bit in the future. I think for the first project, I'm gonna handle the art, and you're gonna handle the engine stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll take on whatever I can with the music and sound and all that. I'd be happy to do that because I think the engine's a little bit more work than the art is going to be.
Yeah.
And so I'll step
Depends.
in wherever I can to help with other things. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it does.
Like
Depends
you
on how
like you
deep you
said,
want to get with
good art
animations.
takes time. So
Yeah, yeah, it does. But I think you and I have been talking, and I just want to share this with everybody. But the goal for these next few games is just fast, right? Just get things done quick, not really long scopes, quick projects that we can crank out, that we can build more of a following, that we can get exposure, that we can get feedback on what we're doing. Probably not necessarily going to be released through Steam, unless we have one that people really like that just gets a lot of reaction. We might take that and develop it more. But I think of these more as like not quite game jam size, but more like big game jam projects, right? Like 1 2 month type projects that are gonna have small scopes, that are gonna have focus on mechanics, focus on unique things about that. Not much in the terms of polish or UI or those kinds of things that take a lot of time, but more just kind of getting the concept down, getting a gameplay loop in there, getting a complete game finished that people can play from start to end, and then launching it, then moving on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting some good experience both with working with different genres and styles of games, and then also more experience with working together. More importantly, I think too.
Yeah,
But yeah, my
yeah,
focus is always like first and foremost, I want to make a fun game. Because
yes,
it doesn't
for sure.
matter how good a game looks or sounds if it either controls like garbage or is just not fun to play. And so
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
I've always wanted to make games that I would want to actually play. And so if we can make a game that
Well,
I'm
and
like,
that's
yeah, I want to go sit down and play this, then I think we would find success.
and that's what kind of pushes you to finish a game, right? Is it's fun to play, and you're looking forward to creating cool experiences in that game that you've got in your head, getting those down to where it's executing your vision for what you had going into it. And it's hard to have a vision for something you don't like, right? That you're just doing just to get people to watch you or just to make money or whatever. That's hard to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree with you. So well, with that, shall we move on to the wheel?
Oh yeah.
You want
So the way
to
that
introduce the wheel of fate?
yeah, the way that we're gonna be doing these, at least for now, this is our first iteration of this, is that we've put a bunch of genres and subgenres into a spinning wheel that we're just going to spin, and we're going to get two of those genres and then smash them together and just kind of see what comes out of this. And then we also have another separate wheel for a theme or like an aesthetic of the game and everything. So we're kind of going to let RNG decide what our project is, and then we're just going to challenge ourselves to see can we make something out of that and can it be fun. And then um, yeah, I think that covers it. We're gonna spin the wheels, and then
Yeah, I
there
think
is a
so.
couple of rules here. Each one of us has a token, right, that we can cash in if we want to veto a roll and respin the wheel, but just a limit of one. And then also if the if both spins are too similar of the genres to where it's just not very interesting or it wouldn't really make much sense, then maybe we can respin it for free that way. But ultimately, we got to kind of just
So,
roll with what we're given.
yeah, yeah. There's totally an element of just what the heck
Yeah.
in
So
this. And so I mean, we're talking like this isn't just like major genres. We're talking very specific genres at some point on this wheel. Like it could be like a beat 'em up mixed with like a dating sim. So
yeah.
it could be anything really. So it's
Let's see.
exciting to.
So let's look at it. Look at the wheel here. Um, swap over to the browser.